before that, I thought we live in this logical world and everything's scientific and you see what you get. And all of a sudden I realized there's this spiritual realm. Someone out there is listening and hearing whatever I want is, can be achieved. And so that was when I discovered spirituality. Yeah. I didn't know about Jesus yet until about 4 years ago. So through the time that I became more spiritual, I felt that I realized that you can control your life, design your life, but I also felt like there was something missing.
Hey, welcome back everyone to the Monday Movement podcast, where we have deep conversations with Christians called to the marketplace. I have a great guest today who you are going to thoroughly enjoy. She interviewed me on her podcast, so this is kind of revenge time where I can ask her some deep questions as well. Linh Podetti is the founder and CEO of Outsourcing Angels, and she's a productivity expert. Linh, so great to see you. Really enjoyed interviewing you last time on the Lead Well, Live Well podcast, but you have a faith as well, so we'd love to hear a bit more about that. On this, where we have these deep conversations.
Yeah, thank you for having me back.
Oh no, it's good to have you back. Always a pleasure to see you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the marketplace at the moment.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm running a company called Outsourcing Angel, and as the name says it all, it's an outsourcing company, and we help businesses to outsource their marketing admin work to more affordable but skilled talent from overseas.
Awesome. And you've done that for about 10 years, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you get into that originally?
Yeah, so I had to outsource for my own business. I started an e-commerce business, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how to do marketing, didn't know where to find the people like most people do. And then I actually outsourced to an Australian company at first, but I got ripped off. I built a website, and then after I finished, they said, "Oh, you still need to pay us, $75 an hour for us to make edits." And that was when I had no money left and said, I need to figure out another way. And so that's when I stumbled across offshore, staffing. And I too got ripped off as well. If you don't know what you're doing, there's people that are going to promise you the world but then don't deliver. But over making all those mistakes, I learned, how to actually outsource properly. And one day people decided that, hey, can I pay you to do this for me? And I'm like, what? Like, you pay me to do something that I thought it was just natural. Yeah. And I realized in business it's actually not as complicated as you think it is. It's usually what is it that you do well that others don't know how to do. And so Outsourcing Angel kind of stemmed from me just learning how to outsource marketing work overseas, and then businesses want me to do that for them.
Well, you've done a great job.
Yeah.
10 years now, I think, in Outsourcing Angels, built a big business, doing very, very well. And you've really become a productivity expert in the midst of that. Mm-hmm. Can we talk a little bit about your faith? Mm-hmm. Tell us a little about your faith origin story. How did you come to Christ?
Okay. I didn't have a faith at all. I was brought up in a Vietnamese home. We don't really have a religion. It's kind of probably like a Buddhism cultured thing where I don't remember going to temples much or anything. So my parents weren't religious. But when we moved to Australia, I was put through Catholic schools because Catholic schools are known to be better schools. And I remember going to school and having to say all these prayers, and I used to just roll my eyes thinking it's like just nuisance, and I can't even believe why adults believe in these legends. This is me as a child thinking I know everything, and every time I hear the story of Jesus, and I just felt like it's so unbelievable. Like, how could you believe it? You're trying to fool a little kid,
Yeah.
It's like a story of Santa is the way I was putting it as that. And so I went to Catholic school through primary school, through high school, and it never really got to me. I just thought it was like, yep, right?
Yep.
And so I was also the type of kid that was very arrogant and cocky. Like, I wouldn't say arrogant. I just knew I knew what to do. I felt like I knew what to do. So in my heart, I knew I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be whatever else. But my parents used to always tell me I can't do anything. So it caused me to rebel. But yeah, how I found faith is for many, many years from the age of 12, 13, I've always had problems at home. My parents were so strict. They made me work from the age of 10 sewing at home. I rebelled, I ran away, and I ended up having a kid. And then I was in and out of so many relationships. But through all that, it was just me thinking I know better. Like, next time I'm not going to do this. Next time I won't choose that guy. It was always blaming my parents, blaming the guy that I was with, blaming everything. And I was in this cycle of always drama in my life. But I think I was also a broken person, broken girl that was hurt. So I was just attracting drama in every way. And it wasn't until I was about 28 or 27, after another breakup with a guy, that I, for the first time, broke down. Like, I basically just remember going, I can't do this anymore. Like, before it was always like, all right, next time I'll do something else better. And this is, by this time I have a kid. I had a kid now. So I don't know if I skipped the story, but at the age of 20, I ended up having a child and I became a single mum. Never stopped me in my naughty ways. I was still rebelling, going out, travel, drinking, taking drugs, doing all sorts of things. But at that, I remember that turning point. It was the first time I gave up on myself. I said, I can't do this anymore. And I said, I think I don't know if I ever said it out loud, but I just said, God, help me. Like, I'm at dead end here. And so in that moment, not that I saw anything coming down or a God coming through, but I remember things shifted. Like, I discovered a course on life coaching, and then I decided I want to be a life coach, and I studied that, and that was my journey into personal development. And so I, for the first time, learned that, our mindset is so important, how you think, the negative thoughts, and I learned about gratitude. And so it kind of led me into the world of being able to kind of turn your life around through positivity. And so I discovered the law of attraction. I discovered that you can kind of even dream your ideal guy. And so in that year, I wrote down my wish list of my future husband. I put in a picture of a house that I wanted. For the first time, I actually was smarter about myself, about life. Before, I was just going, trying to find the most naughtiest looking guy, like, those bad boys looking person. I never even knew to go and ask the universe for a guy that had a job. It was just, as long as you look rough and tough, that was what I was after. But in that year, I just became a lot more wiser with life. And so I wrote down all my wish lists, and that was when I attracted my husband. He found me on YouTube out of nowhere. We had no mutual friends. It was like just random. And I only made 2 videos. I wasn't a YouTuber or anything. And then we ended up getting married in 8 months. And everything that I had in my vision board, from the house, the car, it just happened in that year. And that was when I said, oh my God, this is not, before that, I thought we live in this logical world and everything's scientific and you see what you get. And all of a sudden I realized there's this spiritual realm. Someone out there is listening and hearing whatever I want is, can be achieved. And so that was when I discovered spirituality. I didn't know about Jesus yet until about 4 years ago. So through the time that I became more spiritual, I felt that I realized that you can control your life, design your life. But I also felt like there was something missing. Like, I'm so done with the books that tells me, do a vision board, get what you want, more money, more money, more money. And I was still not content with myself. And so then, but I didn't know any better. And then only about 4 years ago, once again, YouTube, I stumbled across a video of a pastor from the US. He was preaching a sermon, but to me, it didn't sound very religious. It was just a really great sermon that helped me to understand. I think the topic was things get worse before it gets better or something. But he referenced the Bible, and I said, oh my God, maybe everything that I've been learning in the last, 10 years or whatever it was all, regurgitated from the Bible, all the personal development books. That was when I had this light bulb moment that, how come it sounds so similar from the kind of have faith or believe it and then you'll get. I'm like, it sounds like what I'm learning, throughout all these new age books. And so that was when I said, let's go to a church. And, you hear about Hillsong a lot on TV. It's the only church that I know that wasn't like a Catholic church that was, with priests and, old songs. So I wanted it to be a fun church. And so I went to Hillsong, and I remember walking in, and then I just cried, like unstop. I couldn't stop crying.
That's so good.
It wasn't like I had any thoughts going through my head. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is reminding me of anything. I was just crying nonstop. And I felt at home. I felt like, oh my God, this is where I belong. And from that moment onward, I have not been able to stop learning more about Jesus and God. And somehow it just clicks. Jesus now became not a legend, a fake story, but a real person that happened. And then ever since then, I just feel like my life is so much better because the more I learn about how to live like God or like Jesus, the better my life is.
Yeah. So this has been a relatively recent journey
Yes.
for you, which is awesome to see that. I think it happens a lot, actually. People come through the kind of new age universe type teaching, see something in the midst of that, and then suddenly, but have the same experience where something's missing, something's not fundamentally right, something on the inside of me is not quite right, but there seem to be some principles here that seem to work.
Yes.
So wonderful that God intervened in your life in that way and has revealed himself to you. Taking that back through into the work environment, has anything sort of changed for you now that you've found him, following him, given your life to him?
Yeah.
Has anything changed for you in your, as far as how that applies into your work environment?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I used to stress more because I always had to come up with the solutions. Before knowing Jesus, it was always like, I have a problem. Oh my God, I'm stressed and, trying to figure out. But the more you learn about the Bible, the more you learn to surrender and to know that God has his own design of things, and things always work out the way it's supposed to work out. And so I'm more at peace of letting go. I'm able to relax through problems, which is the most important thing, because business is always turmoil, right? It's always up and down. And the best thing is not panicking, not worrying about will it work out. It's like, it will work out. If anything, it's always going to be better. Even if something doesn't look good at the moment, you're like, I've got enough reference in the past to know that things always work out. And I think I'm grateful for why I discovered Jesus a lot later, is because I got to live life in the worldly way and know how it didn't work the way I was running it, the way I was controlling everything. And so then when I read the Bible, it just makes so much sense, And I also learned principles such as we're just stewards of his money, or he gives us the capability. And I think it allows us to be less arrogant about like, I'm so good. It was me that made this business work. It's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for the talent. And I think one recent thing that I realized that I'm grateful to be a Christian is that, let's just say, I'm surrounded by other competitors in the industry. I don't feel threatened. I don't feel nervous. I feel like we're all children of God. Let's just find a way to work together somehow. And, I also learned to realize that life is so fleeting. Like, we're just here in the moment. And I think one key thing that I've learned about life through Jesus or through God is that God cares more about your character than your comfort. And that quote for me just
It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yes, yes. So then I understand my purpose of life. I'm like, I'm here just to build better characters and to be a better person. So that there's a better place for me next, heaven.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and you and I both didn't have a church background and came to Christ as adults. I think we have a slightly different perspective sometimes, where we don't separate anything to do with work or God. We give our whole lives to him, and that includes our work environment. Love what you're saying about stewardship too, super important. What about your daily disciplines around connecting with him, and what do you do in that space?
So as you know, I'm a productivity
you're like
expert.
Early morning productivity expert, up at 4 o'clock.
So this is good. You gotta laugh at this. So as a newbie Christian, I still find it very challenging to read the Bible.
Yes.
So I do love listening to sermons and people telling me the meanings of things. But then, and then when I try to practice reading the Bible verse every day, a little bit every day, I still couldn't find engagement through it.
Yep.
And so recently, my practice is I use ChatGPT.
Yes.
So in my morning, I would ask ChatGPT, what did the Bible say about, right now I'm going through a phase of anti-dieting. So I just realized through a bit of personal work that I have been addicted to dieting and have bad body image problem. And so I'm able to interact with ChatGPT and say, what did the Bible say about eating, for example? And it pulls up all the different verses and the different lessons, and then I can just deep dive it in my own way. And so then it will go, it talks about gluttony, not overeating or moderation. This is a verse. And then I could go, well, tell me more about that verse. And so I find that so much more productive.
Yeah.
I get to discover the lessons in the Bible in a way that is more engaging for me using ChatGPT.
That's a great. Why not integrate technology into your divine experience for sure. Do you know the YouVersion Bible app?
Yeah, I have. There's a
Yeah.
Bible app. Yes, I did use that as well, and you take little lessons every day.
Yeah, the reading plans on
I've
there
tried that.
are really, really good.
Yep.
Some of my reading plans are on there, which are not quite as good, but they're on
Oh,
there.
yeah. I've tried that too.
And I wrote a daily devotional called Monday Memos, so I'll give you a copy of those when you go if you want to have a look at
Definitely. That was my way of learning as well. Just doing lots of those little plans.
Yeah.
They were really helpful.
And it is hard to integrate it. You say you're a new Christian. I'm probably an old Christian, been following the Lord for 40 years now. Still find it difficult. So it's I think just getting those, taking it in any way you can. I think is a good.
And most importantly,
thing.
is about applying it. You know,
Absolutely,
it could be one
100%.
verse, but that verse is just so profound that you need to live. You know,
Totally. Somebody said to me the Bible's the only book that reads you. And I thought that's so true. Like I just read a chapter a day. That's just my way of doing it. But if I feel the Holy Spirit highlights a particular verse to me, I'm saying, why has this caught my attention? Like, do I need to make some adjustment in my life? Are you showing me something that's happening or going to happen, or do I need to shift or change? And he's he's changing us into his image, and we should live a transformed life. I think, but a big part of that is getting anchored in the Word and making sure that really get those disciplines.
Yeah, that's right. And I enjoy going to church as well, even though the church that I have found that I enjoy is 45 minutes away. I don't get to go there as often, maybe once or twice a month, but I know that I love Jesus so much because I would consume it throughout. I'm going for a run or walk or driving. You know, I think we're lucky we're living in this day and age that there's just so much content and resources that we can learn from. And so it's just about finding the method in whatever task that you're doing in your day.
Absolutely. There is that is. I think all day we can do things. Living down here in the Southern Highlands, I'm often in the car up and down from Sydney, and so I have this opportunity to podcasts and sermons and business leadership is a passion. So a lot of those things we can integrate as well as part of doing that. But being connected to a local body, I think is important. Don't give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing is a scripture that I think that points to our need to be part of a community. I love the breadth of the body of Christ too. I've been involved in Catholic charismatic movements right through to Baptist, through to Pentecostal churches, managed to preach in an Anglican church and also in a C3 church. So a beautiful wide expression of the body of Christ because we're all different. And I just think we need to find somewhere where we, feel at home, become part of a community and serve in that
100%,
as well, which is really hard as business people, isn't it, to take the time to do that.
Yes.
So do you see your role as something that God has called you to do?
Yeah. I realize that business is my vehicle. I think some people are called to serve at church or to sing in the choir.
Yeah.
I feel like it's me in business. When I am in business, I'm creating job opportunities. I have a platform for me to help my own employees to live a better life, to give. They might not be all Christians, but they are definitely living the Christian values.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I became a Christian is because my values were already aligned to the Christian value. That's why it made the integration a lot more easier.
Yeah.
And it's funny how God has worked in my life so long because, since the inception of the business, we were donating money to these volunteers who were Christians. And I remember even when we were trekking up the mountains.
That's so funny.
When we used to trek up the mountains, they would sing songs, and they're actually trying to bring Christianity to these tribes. And I used to just kind of like sit around and tune out and not even think about it. And then when I finally became a Christian, one of the volunteer guys, the interesting was he's actually was an ex-criminal. Like he was on the street robbing people and then he became a Christian and then now he devotes his life to helping people. And I said, oh my God, I'm a Christian now and I can't believe I've been helping you Christians, on a Christian mission. And he's like, don't worry, ma'am, I've been praying for you.
Awesome. That's so good. Because you've had those seeds all the way through your life, haven't you, at school and the Catholic teachings and then people around you. And
apparently people have been praying.
So good. I love that. God's been on your case. Been on your case for a long time. Yeah. Wonderful to see that you've come into the kingdom and are working all that out. Going back to some of the secular sacred divide where some people have a trouble thinking about Jesus in a workplace. What would you say to people are sort of wrestling a little bit with that. They think, church things is the most important, and then I sort of go into the work because I sort of have to pay my mortgage or whatever. They don't see it necessarily as a vocation or as a God calling. What would you say to them?
Are these people Christians already, but then they feel like when they're at work?
Yeah, that it's somehow not a Christian thing.
Okay. That means they need to keep reading the Bible.
Great advice. Great advice right there.
Or have a really good pastor that helps you explain.
Yeah.
I feel like to be honest, before I became a Christian, I already felt the fulfillment when I'm serving.
Yes.
When I'm giving back, when I'm helping. It just feels so good. Even if you're not a Christian, you learned that from servant leadership or whatever other.
It's what you were built for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then becoming a Christian just locked it all more in, and I'm like, I get it. There's a foundational truth there. But I think in anything once you become a Christian and you realize that we're all children of God and we're all connected and that we can't take everything with us anyway. And so you just live in a more abundant mindset, and by helping others you're helping your siblings in a sense. So I never feel like anyone is not my family, or if someone is my competitor. You're able to give without worrying about what you can take back. And when you witness so many of the blessings that God gives you, every time you give away, you get more back somehow through something, that you can never outgive God. So then I think it allows you to just really focus on serving and giving back, and knowing that, blessings will come. Even without expecting, it will always come.
Yep.
But I think it's very important to know your purpose. There is no point in being in a job just for the money. That's not being a Christian either. I think as a Christian, your job is to find what are you good at, what is your purpose in life, and hone into that skill set. We need someone for something, right? Whatever your skill set are, you need to find that and then use that to serve people. And then if you enjoy doing what you love and you make money from it, it's easy. It's an easy way to make money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a real alignment, isn't there? Calling, capability. You talked before about, particularly in the leadership, when we talked about leadership in the last podcast, around the importance of authenticity. And I think there's great alignment around that. Is if we are who God has created us to be, then, and we know that He's placed us and anointed us.
Yes.
Called us to
and
do
remember
something.
that God cares more about your character than your comfort. So it means you're in a job that you don't enjoy, that you have a bad boss. It's time to get out. Even if it's scary, even if you don't know how you're going to survive tomorrow, I can tell you now that I've done a lot of jumping, taking that leap and not knowing what tomorrow will come, and things will always work out. Like even when I had a child, my mum's like, you're having a baby, like it's a baby, like you can't reverse that. So that's fine, I'll do it. Yeah. And you know what, you find a way. Or when I quit my job to start a business, I didn't have all the money support, but you just believe in doing what's right. When you know inside your heart that you should be doing something else, and just letting go and trusting that, things will work out, and they always do. And once you you witness a few times, it becomes a lot easier. You just trust that if it worked before, it will work again.
Yeah. That's so good. Lynn, I've loved hearing some of your story today. Love that positivity. You're such an expert in productivity. If people want to find out more about Outsourcing Angels, how would they do that?
Yeah, so outsourcingangel.com is our website, and Linh Podetti is my name, and you can find me across all social media networks. So I'm very friendly, so please connect.
Super friendly. Yeah. And look, thank you for sharing some of your journey today. It's been a privilege to spend some time with you today.
Yeah, thank you for your awesome questions and for the opportunity to share with your audience.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're most welcome. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us at the Monday Movement vodcast. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to know more about what we do, you can find us at mondaymovement.com.